The most feared alien princess met my gaze. Now I'm bound to her forever. Ethan Cole had always been drawn to the unknown. From a young age, he had stared at the stars, dreaming of distant worlds, strange creatures, and adventures that no human had dared to experience. Now, standing on the busy market streets of Zerath 9, a neutral planet known for its interstellar trade, he felt that dream come alive. The market was alive with color and sound. Merchants shouted over the hum of hovering transport pods. Exotic fruits glistened under artificial sunlight, and alien species of every shape and size mingled with humans, exchanging goods, stories, and laughter. The air smelled of spices, ozone, and strange, unrecognizable scents that Ethan found strangely comforting. He moved carefully through the crowd, his eyes scanning the vibrant stalls. He wasn't here for food or trinkets, he was here for research. As a young explorer and human diplomat in training, he had to understand other species, learn their cultures, and see their technology firsthand. Today, however, he would witness something far beyond anything he could have imagined. A sudden hush fell over the market. Ethan turned to see what had caused it. A sleek, hovering royal ship had descended above the central plaza, its metallic surface gleaming in the sunlight. Crowds parted instinctively, whispering names in awe and fear. And then he saw her, Princess Liara, the most feared alien in the galaxy. Her people, the Valorians, were known for their unmatched intelligence, tactical brilliance, and the cold, calculated precision with which they governed. To most, her gaze was terrifying. One look could inspire loyalty or fear. Yet here she was, walking among the civilians, moving with grace and authority, accompanied by a squad of armored guards who mirrored her every step. Ethan felt his heart skip a beat. She was taller than most humans, her skin shimmering with a faint, iridescent glow. Her eyes were large, almond-shaped, and a deep violet that seemed to pierce through layers of thought. Her presence demanded attention, and yet there was something in her posture, a subtle openness, a curiosity that hinted at something different from her fearsome reputation. Their eyes met. It was brief, almost accidental, but it was enough. A strange sensation passed through Ethan, a warmth, a spark, a feeling he could not name. Something ancient, something unexplainable seemed to recognize him. Across the crowd, Liara paused, her violet eyes holding his for a heartbeat longer than seemed natural. Whispers rose around them, some in awe, some in fear. Ethan tried to look away, but he couldn't. He had heard legends of the gaze bond, an ancient Valorian concept where two souls were tied together through eye contact. It was said to be rare, almost mythical, and often bound a human and Valorian in a way neither could break. He shook his head, telling himself it was just coincidence. Yet the feeling lingered. The crowd erupted in panic when a small transport pod malfunctioned near the plaza. Sparks flew, and a few crates toppled, threatening to injure bystanders. Without thinking, Ethan sprinted toward the chaos. Humans might not be the strongest species, but they were quick and resourceful. He grabbed a falling crate, rolling to shield a small alien child from harm. Another human helped, and together they managed to stabilize the situation until the guards arrived. When the dust settled, Ethan noticed Liara observing him. There was no anger in her eyes, no disdain. Instead, there was interest, a sharp, assessing look that seemed to weigh his every action. Most species, when faced with danger, either froze or fled. Ethan had acted. His instincts had driven him to help, not to watch. Liara moved closer, her guards flanking her like silent shadows. "You have courage," she said, her voice musical but commanding, carrying across the plaza without the need for amplification. "And humanity," Ethan blinked. Thank you, Princess Liara," he stammered. He wasn't sure why she had addressed him directly. Millions feared her, and yet she had chosen to speak to him. Liara tilted her head, studying him. "Most humans would have fled. You acted with instinct and care. That is rare." Before Ethan could respond, one of the guards interrupted. "Princess, there is a disturbance near the docks. Shall we investigate?" Liara nodded. "Leave the boy," she said simply, her eyes returning to Ethan. "He is intriguing." Intriguing, the word echoed in his mind. He didn't know what it meant in the context of a Valorian princess, but he felt the weight of it. He had acted without thinking, guided by human instincts, and somehow that had caught the attention of the most feared being in the galaxy. As the royal party moved away, Ethan couldn't help but feel a strange connection, a pull toward her that he couldn't explain. It was not fear nor attraction in any conventional sense. It was something deeper, almost magnetic. The next hours were a blur. Ethan found himself shadowed by curious aliens and cautious humans alike, all wondering why the human had captured the attention of Princess Liara. His mind raced. What did this bond mean? Could it be real? Was he in danger, or had he stumbled into something extraordinary? By nightfall, the market had quieted. Ethan returned to his small quarters in a nearby human settlement, but sleep eluded him. He kept thinking of the princess, the grace in her movements, the intensity in her gaze, and the subtle acknowledgement that passed between them. He felt bound, in some way he could not explain, to a being from a species so different from his own. Just as he was about to drift into uneasy sleep, a communication signal pinged on his device. He froze. There was no sender identification, only a brief message in a language he didn't fully recognize. He hesitated, then pressed accept. A holographic projection appeared, shimmering in the air. Princess Liara herself. "Ethan Cole," she said, her voice calm, yet edged with authority. "You have proven yourself to be different. Meet me at the coordinates I am sending. It is time we speak. Alone." Ethan's heart raced. Alone with Liara, the most feared alien princess, the gaze bond pulsing faintly in his mind. This was not just an adventure. This was history in the making. Humans had traveled to the stars, yes, but few had ever been personally acknowledged by a being of such power. Despite the fear curling in his stomach, Ethan felt a surge of determination. He had always sought the unknown, faced challenges, and embraced the extraordinary. This was no different. He grabbed his explorer's pack, checking his equipment, and activated his small shuttle. The journey to the coordinates took him over the alien plains of Zerath 9. He marveled at the crystalline landscapes, the glowing flora, and the strange creatures that roamed in packs, cautious of the shuttle's hum. Yet his mind remained on Liara, on the bond, on the promise of something greater. When he finally arrived, he saw her ship hovering silently over a canyon of luminous rock. The ramp extended, inviting him aboard. Ethan swallowed hard and stepped forward, feeling the strange pull again, the bond, the connection, the weight of destiny. As he entered the ship, the interior was sleek, almost alien in its design. Smooth surfaces reflected soft light, and strange glyphs glowed faintly along the walls. Liara stood at the center of the chamber, her posture relaxed, yet every movement precise and deliberate. "You have questions," she said, her violet eyes meeting his once more, "and I will answer them if you are ready to listen." Ethan nodded, words failing him. He realized then that nothing he had learned as a human, history, science, culture, could have prepared him for this. He was stepping into a world that defied imagination, guided by instinct, courage, and something ancient he could not yet understand. Liara's expression softened, almost imperceptibly. "The bond we share," she continued, "is rare, powerful, and unbreakable. It ties us together whether we wish it or not. You must understand this, Ethan. Our destinies are now connected." Ethan swallowed hard, the weight of her words sinking in. This was no ordinary encounter. He was no ordinary human, at least not in her eyes. And somehow, just somehow, he felt ready. "Then, I am ready," he said quietly. Liara's eyes sparkled faintly. "Good, then let us begin." Outside the ship, Zerath 9 twin moons rose over the horizon, casting silver light across the alien landscape. Inside, two beings, human and Valorian, stood together, bound by fate, curiosity, and an invisible connection that would change the course of both their lives forever. And so, Ethan's journey into the unknown truly began. The interior of Princess Liara's ship was unlike anything Ethan had ever seen. Smooth metallic walls glowed softly with embedded lights, and the floors hummed faintly as though the ship itself were alive. Strange glyphs etched into the surfaces pulsed in rhythm with an energy Ethan could almost feel in his chest. The air smelled faintly of ozone and something floral, a combination that was both alien and calming. Liara walked ahead of him with quiet authority. She did not speak, yet Ethan felt her awareness of his every step. It was unnerving, but at the same time it inspired a strange sense of respect. He realized that this was not a ship ruled by fear alone. It was ruled by someone who expected discipline and precision, and yet understood patience. "You may sit," Liara finally said, gesturing to a seat across from her in the main chamber. Her voice was calm, yet carried a weight that made him obey without hesitation. Ethan took a deep breath and sat. "Princess, I still don't fully understand what happened back there," he admitted. "The gaze, the connection, is it real?" Liara regarded him silently for a long moment. The gaze bond, she explained finally, is ancient among my people. When two souls meet and recognize each other's essence, a connection forms. It is not common between Valorians and humans. You are unusual. Ethan swallowed. Unusual me? Yes, she said simply. Humans are unpredictable, impulsive, and guided by instincts that we find fascinating. You acted with courage, without thought for your own safety, and yet with care for others. That is what triggered the bond. He leaned back, trying to process her words. Courage and care? He had simply acted on instinct. Humans often did. But to think it had drawn the attention of the most feared alien in the galaxy, that was beyond anything he could have imagined. Liara moved closer, her violet eyes studying him with quiet intensity. The bond is not merely symbolic, she continued. It ties our fates together. You will feel my emotions at times. I will sense yours. This is not something to take lightly. Are you prepared for that? Ethan hesitated, the weight of her words pressed on him like gravity. I think so, he said finally. I've wanted adventure all my life. I've dreamed of this. I just didn't expect it to be real. Liara tilted her head, a gesture almost human in its subtlety. Dreams are different from reality. Reality tests you. Your actions now will define how this bond shapes our futures. Before Ethan could respond, a soft chime echoed through the chamber. Liara's communication panel flickered to life, showing a holographic image of her chief advisor. The alien's form shimmered in blue light, sharp and angular, as it spoke in Valorian before Liara translated. Princess, there are disturbances near the border of the sector. Raiders have been spotted and your forces require guidance. Liara nodded. I will attend to them, but you will remain here. There is much you need to learn before you step into the galaxy's conflicts. Ethan nodded, though a part of him wanted to insist on going. He realized quickly that Liara had a plan. She did not reveal all at once. She tested, observed, and allowed him to prove himself in his own way. That was human enough for him to respect. Hours passed. Liara began to explain the history of her people, their culture, and the delicate balance of power among interstellar civilizations. Ethan listened intently, asking questions where he could. He learned that the Valorians valued intelligence above all else, that they respected loyalty and courage, and that their fearsome reputation often masked a deep sense of honor. You humans, Liara said at one point, are capable of unpredictability. That makes you dangerous in some ways, but admirable in others. Ethan smiled faintly. I'll take that as a compliment. She allowed a very faint smile in return, though it did not quite reach her eyes. There was a complexity to her, layers of caution, pride, and something else he could not name. A vulnerability, perhaps, hidden beneath centuries of expectation. As the day turned to evening, Liara led Ethan to the ship's observation deck. From there, he could see the twin moons of Zerath 9 rising over the horizon, casting silver light on the alien plains below. The sight was breathtaking, yet Ethan felt a deeper awe, the awe of standing beside someone so powerful, someone so alien, yet connected to him in a way no human or alien had ever been before. You will need to understand this, Liara said softly, her voice almost lost in the hum of the ship. The bond is not just about awareness, it is about trust. If you fail to trust me even slightly, it may weaken the connection. If you betray it, the consequences could be severe. Ethan nodded solemnly. I understand. I don't intend to break it. I don't even know how I could. Liara studied him for a long moment, as if measuring the truth in his words. Very well, then we shall begin your training. Training, Ethan's mind raced. He had expected danger, perhaps politics, perhaps interstellar travel. But training? What did a human need to learn aboard a Valorian ship? First, Liara explained, you must understand strategy. Intelligence alone is not enough. You must anticipate, plan, and act decisively. Humans tend to rely on instinct, which is sometimes useful but often reckless. You will need both. She led him to a holographic strategy table. Projections of planets, ships, and energy fields shimmered above it. Ethan watched in fascination as she moved pieces with precise gestures, demonstrating complex maneuvers and tactical responses. See here, she explained, highlighting a group of rogue ships. If they take this path, they will be vulnerable here. But if they alter course slightly, it changes everything. Predicting behavior, understanding motives, that is the essence of command. Ethan studied the display, his mind working quickly. Humans were not always methodical, but they were creative. He proposed alternative maneuvers, drawing on patterns he had studied in simulations. Liara observed silently, her violet eyes narrowing, not in anger but in careful consideration. "Interesting," she said finally. "You think differently than my advisors. That may be useful." For the first time, Ethan felt that his humanity, the very traits that often made humans seem weak in interstellar politics, was valued. It was not his strength, size, or experience, but his creativity, courage, and empathy that mattered. The lessons continued into the night. Liara taught him about alien languages, cultural customs, and the importance of diplomacy. She tested his reactions to hypothetical crises, challenging his morals and instincts. At times, Ethan felt overwhelmed, unsure if he could meet her expectations. Yet each time he acted with honesty and integrity, she nodded, approving without fanfare. "You are progressing," she admitted near the end of the cycle. "Faster than expected." Ethan smiled, though exhaustion weighed on him. "I guess humans can surprise even the most feared alien princess." Liara's lips curved slightly in what could almost be called a smile. "Perhaps, but this is only the beginning. The galaxy is vast, and danger waits in ways you cannot yet imagine. You will need to rely on the bond, on your instincts, and on your ability to act when others hesitate." As they stood together on the observation deck, watching the moons glide across the sky, Ethan felt a mixture of fear, excitement, and determination. The bond was strange, mysterious, and powerful. It was a connection that tied him to Liara in ways he did not yet understand, and yet it was a bond he did not wish to break. I think I understand," he said quietly. "The bond isn't just about us. It's about what we can do together, about what humans and Valorians, maybe even all species, can accomplish if we trust each other." Liara regarded him in silence, her violet eyes reflecting the silver light of the moons. Then she said simply, "Good. That understanding may save your life one day." Ethan nodded, the weight of her words sinking in. He realized that this was more than training, it was preparation for something greater, something he could not yet see. And for the first time, he felt that he was exactly where he was meant to be. As the night deepened, the ship floated silently over the alien plains, carrying two beings, human and Valorian, bound by fate, curiosity, and the unbreakable gaze bond. One had courage, one had experience, and together they were about to face challenges that would test everything they knew about themselves, their species, and the galaxy at large. For Ethan, the adventure had only just begun. Ethan awoke to the soft hum of Liara's ship. The glow of alien lights bathed the chamber in gentle colors, and the distant shimmer of Zerath's 9 twin moons peeked through the observation windows. Today, he knew, would be different. He had trained, learned, and prepared himself under Liara's watchful eyes, but nothing could have fully prepared him for what lay ahead. "Are you ready?" Liara's voice echoed through the chamber. She stood at the edge of the observation deck, her violet eyes fixed on him. There was no fear in her tone, only expectation. "I think so," Ethan replied, straightening his shoulders. His training had given him knowledge, but he knew courage would be tested today. Liara's slight nod was all the acknowledgement he received before she led him to the ship's hangar. Inside, sleek scout ships hovered silently, their metallic surfaces gleaming under soft light. "Today," Liara said, "you will accompany me on a mission. It is not a simulation. It is real, and it will test everything you have learned, strategy, courage, and trust." Ethan's heart pounded. This was the moment when theory met reality. He had dreamed of adventure, yes, but facing actual danger, side by side with the most feared alien princess, was a level beyond imagination. The mission was simple in explanation, but perilous in reality. A group of rogue pirates, operating near the Krylon Belt, had stolen intelligence crucial to interstellar peace. The intelligence was stored on a transport vessel, and the pirates were using it to negotiate favors, endangering countless lives across several systems. Liara's task was to retrieve the vessel, but the pirates were clever, mobile, and armed with advanced technology. Ethan's role, she explained, was to assist, learn, and act when necessary. They entered the sleek scout ships, Ethan seated next to Liara. As the engines hummed and the ship accelerated into space, Ethan felt a thrill of anticipation. The bond between them pulsed faintly, almost as if it were a heartbeat. He had felt it during training, but now it was stronger, sharper, a tether pulling him closer to her thoughts, her emotions, her focus. "Remember," Liara said, her voice calm, "trust is everything. Hesitation could cost lives. Act with your mind, but trust your instincts. And trust me, Ethan nodded. He had spent weeks learning strategy, diplomacy, and culture, but now instinct would guide him more than any lesson. The Krylon Belt appeared as a chaotic expanse of floating rock and hidden dangers. Small craft darted between asteroids, and the glow of distant stars reflected off jagged mineral surfaces. Ethan gripped his controls tightly. Liara navigated with effortless precision, her eyes scanning multiple displays while her mind anticipated the pirates' every possible move. "Detecting a vessel," she said suddenly. "The transport is moving along this trajectory. The pirates are expecting interceptors." "We must be cautious." Ethan felt a thrill of fear and excitement. "I'll follow your lead," he said. Liara's eyes flicked to him briefly. "Good, but sometimes you must act independently. Do not wait for my command if you see an opportunity." Moments later, the transport vessel came into view. It was guarded by smaller fighter ships, circling protectively. Ethan felt the pressure in the bond strengthen. He could sense Liara's concentration, her focus on strategy, and a faint echo of her curiosity about him. As they approached, a pirate squadron moved to intercept them. Ethan's hands moved instinctively. Using his knowledge of asteroid paths, he calculated an alternate trajectory that would allow them to flank the pirates without entering a direct firefight. "Executing your plan," Liara said with a faint smile, almost imperceptible. "Impressive thinking." The maneuver worked. The pirates were momentarily confused, their formations disrupted, giving Liara's team a clear path to the transport. But just as they approached, one of the pirate ships fired a laser burst, narrowly missing Ethan's craft. His heart raced. This was no simulation. "Evasive maneuvers," Liara commanded. Her voice was calm, precise, cutting through the chaos. Ethan followed her guidance, weaving through the asteroid field, dodging lasers and debris. The bond pulsed strongly now, a mix of adrenaline, focus, and unspoken trust. He could feel her calculations, anticipate her decisions, and react before commands were fully given. Finally, they reached the transport. Ethan's hands moved instinctively as he helped secure the vessel's containment systems, while Liara engaged the remaining pirate fighters. He realized in that moment that humans had a unique strength, creativity under pressure. While aliens relied on precision and strategy, humans could improvise, adapt, and act in ways that surprised even the most disciplined beings. "Good work," Liara said, her voice calm but approving. "You are learning quickly." Ethan exhaled, his hands trembling slightly. "Thanks, I'm trying my best." The pirates were not finished. A larger vessel appeared on their scanners, heading directly for them. Ethan's mind raced. They could not outrun it. Liara's eyes flicked to him, and he understood instantly. She expected him to act. Trusting his instincts, he calculated a trajectory using the nearby asteroid field to create a natural barrier, then suggested it to Liara. She considered for a moment and nodded. "Take the lead." Ethan felt the bond pulse sharply as he took control. Every maneuver, every adjustment, felt like an extension of Liara's own calculations. The human creativity he had relied upon, combined with her guidance, allowed them to outmaneuver the pirate vessel. It crashed into the asteroid field, disabled but not destroyed, while the transport vessel remained safe. Liara's ship moved alongside Ethan's. "You acted decisively," she said. "You trusted yourself and the bond. That is rare." Ethan's chest swelled with pride, but he felt humility as well. He knew it was the combination of human adaptability and the bond with Liara that had made success possible. Alone, he might have failed. Together, they had succeeded. As they returned to Liara's ship, Ethan realized that he had learned something fundamental. Courage was not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act in spite of it. Humans had this ability in abundance, and perhaps that was why the bond had formed in the first place. Back aboard Liara's ship, the princess studied him quietly. "Today you proved something important, not just to me but to yourself," she said. "The galaxy will not always present dangers as clear as these. You must learn to trust the bond, your instincts, and the wisdom you have gained." Ethan nodded. "I understand. I feel like I can do more now, even if it's dangerous." Liara's violet eyes softened faintly. "Good, you will need that courage. The challenges ahead will test not only your skill but your judgment, your patience, and your humanity. Remember, you are capable of more than you know. The bond strengthens with understanding, trust, and action. Today, you acted with all three." For the first time, Ethan felt a deep sense of connection not only to Liara, but to the broader universe. He realized that humans, often underestimated, could make a difference, not by sheer strength, but by creativity, courage, and empathy. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers and wonders, but he felt prepared for whatever lay ahead. The rest of the night was quiet. Ethan reviewed the mission's data, noting areas where he had improvised and where he had followed Liara's guidance. Every decision had consequences, and every choice mattered. He understood now that the bond was more than mystical. It was a shared awareness, a partnership that could turn uncertainty into opportunity. Liara joined him on the observation deck as the first light of Zerath 9 morning broke over the horizon. "Do you see," she said softly, "how your actions can shape outcomes, how a single decision made with clarity and courage can alter the course of events?" Ethan nodded, his eyes reflecting the twin moons fading into dawn. "I see it. I think I finally understand why the bond exists. It's not just about me or you, it's about what we can do together." Liara's expression was unreadable, yet Ethan sensed approval. "Correct. And there will be times when you must act alone, yet still honor the bond. The galaxy is full of uncertainties. Trust in yourself, trust in our connection, and you will find your way." As the sun rose over the alien plains, Ethan felt a renewed sense of purpose. The trials had tested him, pushed him to his limits, and yet he had succeeded, not by strength alone, but by thinking, acting, and trusting. The bond pulsed softly, a reminder that he was no longer merely a human explorer. He was a companion to the most feared alien princess in the galaxy, and together they were capable of remarkable things. Ethan knew that this was only the beginning. Greater challenges awaited, decisions that would shape not just their lives but the fate of countless beings across the stars. And yet, for the first time, he felt ready to face them, not alone, but bound by trust, courage, and the extraordinary connection that had chosen him. He took a deep breath, feeling the bond thrum through him, and whispered quietly, "I'm ready for whatever comes next." Liara's eyes met his, and for the first time a faint smile touched her lips. "Good," she said, "because the universe is about to test us in ways we cannot yet imagine." And with that, the ship set its course deeper into the Krylon belt, carrying a human and a Valorian into the unknown, their bond stronger than fear, stronger than doubt, and ready to face the trials that awaited them. The royal capital of Liara's people, Zerathis, stretched endlessly into the sky. Crystalline spires rose like mountains of glass, reflecting the light of distant stars in dazzling patterns. From the observation deck of her ship, Ethan watched in awe. He had seen alien cities before, but none compared to this. The combination of beauty, technology, and sheer scale made him realize just how advanced Liara's civilization was. "You will understand soon," Liara said, her voice calm as always, though tinged with an unusual softness. "Zerathis is more than a capital. It is the center of political power, culture, and the expectations that weigh on my people." Ethan nodded. "It's incredible. I've never seen anything like it." Liara's violet eyes softened slightly. "And you must remember, most here fear me. Many do not understand me. Your presence here, it is unusual." Ethan frowned. "Unusual how?" "Because you are human," she said, a hint of amusement in her tone. "Humans are unpredictable. They do not bow to fear the way others do. They act with ingenuity, courage, and conscience. And you, Ethan Cole, have proven that you are unlike any other human I have encountered." Ethan felt both pride and nervousness. Being praised by the most feared alien in the galaxy was overwhelming, yet he sensed an underlying weight to her words. Liara did not give compliments lightly. Every word carried meaning, every expression was measured. They landed in the central plaza of Zerathis. Citizens and officials alike stared as Liara and Ethan disembarked. Whispers swept through the crowd. The princess had brought a human into the heart of their capital. Some were curious, others skeptical, but all watched with cautious respect. Liara led Ethan through grand halls adorned with glowing murals depicting the history of the Valorians. Each image told stories of great victories, diplomacy, and the challenges of ruling a species known for intelligence and precision. Ethan marveled at the depth of their history, but he also noticed the weight on Liara's shoulders. She was admired, feared, and yet deeply constrained by expectations and tradition. "You see this," she said, pausing before a mural of her ancestors. "Every ruler carries responsibility beyond personal desires." I have spent my life learning to command, to negotiate, to maintain peace. And yet, there is always the pressure of politics, of rivals waiting for the smallest sign of weakness. Ethan studied her face. It sounds exhausting. Liara nodded faintly. It is. And it is why the bond with you is important. You see me as I am, not as the fearsome figure the galaxy has built me to be. That perspective is valuable. He understood then why the gaze bond was rare. It was not only about connection. It was about understanding, empathy, and shared awareness. Humans, with their capacity for emotion and creativity, were capable of seeing truth where others only saw power or fear. Their moment of reflection was interrupted by a messenger. Holographic screens flickered to life, showing images of a faction plotting a coup. Ethan's heart sank. Political intrigue was not new in alien civilizations, but this was real, immediate, and dangerous. The faction sought to overthrow Liara, seeing her alliance with humans as a weakness to exploit. Liara turned to Ethan, her expression serious. You will witness firsthand the complexity of leadership. Trust, strategy, and judgment are tested in ways combat training cannot prepare you for. Observe carefully. They moved to the control room, where Liara's advisors presented information on the faction's movements. Ethan was struck by the layers of planning, deception, and strategy at play. Each decision could alter the balance of power, and every misstep could be catastrophic. You must understand, Liara said, sensing his tension, that diplomacy and strategy are as dangerous as combat. A single wrong word, a delayed action, can cost lives. And yet, human creativity often provides solutions that pure logic cannot. Ethan felt the weight of the lesson. Humans were not always predictable, but that unpredictability could be an asset. He recalled their mission in the Krylon Belt. The bond, instinct, and creativity had allowed them to succeed where a purely calculated approach might have failed. Perhaps the same principle applied here. As the faction made its move, Ethan noticed patterns they had not anticipated. He pointed out a possible weak point in their strategy, suggesting a diversion that could buy Liara's forces crucial time. Liara studied him for a long moment, then nodded. Your insight is valuable. We will use it. The plan was executed with precision. Liara's forces moved strategically, intercepting the faction's operatives before they could reach key positions. Ethan watched, fascinated, as human intuition and alien precision blended seamlessly. The coup was thwarted not by brute force alone, but by the combination of strategy, observation, and the unique bond between Ethan and Liara. Afterward, Liara took Ethan to a quiet chamber overlooking the city. The night lights of Zarathis shimmered below, reflecting in his eyes. You did well, she said quietly. Not just in strategy, but in judgment. You have shown understanding, empathy, and courage. That is what this bond requires, action guided by insight, not fear. Ethan exhaled, feeling both relief and pride. I couldn't have done it alone. The bond, it helped. I could sense your thoughts, anticipate your moves. I don't know how it works, but it makes sense now. Liara's expression softened. It is rare for humans to comprehend the depth of our connection so quickly. You have potential, Ethan Cole, not only as a companion, but as someone who may influence the galaxy in ways you cannot yet imagine. Ethan felt a mixture of awe and humility. He had dreamed of adventure, of discovering new worlds, of leaving a mark on the galaxy. But this was beyond dreams. He realized that humans, often underestimated, could play roles that no one expected, bridging cultures, solving problems, and inspiring others. For the first time, Liara allowed herself a moment of vulnerability. Humans see the world differently, she said. Your species is guided by emotion, yes, but also by morality and creativity. That combination can change outcomes in ways intelligence alone cannot. Ethan nodded, understanding the weight of her words. Humans might be fragile physically, inexperienced in space politics, and sometimes reckless, but they were capable of empathy, courage, and thinking outside the box, traits that could make a difference even among the stars. As dawn approached, they stood together in silence, watching Zarathis awaken. Ethan realized something important. The galaxy was vast, full of complexity, danger, and wonder. And yet he felt ready. He was not just a human explorer. He was bonded to Liara, sharing awareness, trust, and purpose. Together, they could face challenges that no single species could overcome alone. Liara broke the silence. Tomorrow, we will begin preparations for a council meeting with allied species. You will witness diplomacy, negotiation, and the influence of human perspective. Your role is not passive. You will contribute as you did today. Ethan felt a thrill of anticipation. Diplomacy was unfamiliar territory, but he had learned that humans could surprise others with insight, creativity, and integrity. He was eager to see how his perspective could shape outcomes in ways even Liara might not anticipate. As they returned to the living quarters, Ethan reflected on the day's events. The revelation was clear. Fear was not the measure of strength, nor was logic alone sufficient. Courage, insight, creativity, and the willingness to act decisively were what truly mattered. Humans, with their unpredictability and heart, could offer solutions that aliens could not. Liara observed him quietly, her violet eyes thoughtful. "You are learning quickly," she said softly, "and you are beginning to see why humans are unique. That uniqueness is our strength when combined with strategy, wisdom, and the bond we share." Ethan smiled faintly. "I feel honored, not just for the bond, but for the opportunity to contribute, to be part of something greater than myself." Liara nodded. "And that, Ethan, is why the bond exists. It is not about ownership, fear, or obligation. It is about partnership. You see me as I am, and I see you. Together, we are stronger, wiser, and capable of shaping events that others might not understand." As night settled over Zarathis, Ethan knew that his journey was far from over. The galaxy held dangers, mysteries, and challenges that would test him in ways he could not yet imagine. But he felt ready. With courage, insight, and the bond he shared with Liara, he could face whatever came next. And so, under the silver light of alien moons, a human and a Valorian princess stood together, not as master and subordinate, but as partners, bound by trust, understanding, and the unbreakable connection that had chosen them both. The galaxy was vast, but for the first time, Ethan felt that he was exactly where he was meant to be. The grand halls of Zarathis buzzed with activity. Delegates from multiple species had arrived for the Interstellar Summit, a rare gathering aimed at solidifying alliances and promoting peace across the galaxy. The presence of Princess Liara alone commanded respect and attention, but alongside her stood Ethan Cole, a human who had already proven his courage, insight, and ingenuity. Their bond was known to few, yet its influence would shape the outcomes of the summit in ways no one expected. Ethan walked beside Liara as she entered the main chamber. The room was enormous, with crystalline walls reflecting light in dazzling patterns. Alien species of every shape and size filled the chamber, murmuring in curiosity and anticipation. Some glanced at him with skepticism, others with genuine interest. Humans were rare in the upper echelons of interstellar politics, and few had ever been so closely associated with a being as powerful as Liara. "You may observe and contribute," Liara whispered, her violet eyes briefly meeting his. "Speak when you must, act when it is needed. Remember, we are partners in this." Ethan nodded. The bond pulsed faintly, almost like a heartbeat. He could sense her confidence, her strategy, and her focus, and it gave him courage. He had learned that humans had a unique strength, the ability to act creatively, decisively, and with empathy. Today, that strength would be tested. The summit began. Liara addressed the assembly, her voice clear and commanding. She spoke of unity, cooperation, and the need for mutual understanding among all species. The words carried weight, yet some delegates were hesitant, skeptical of her proposals. It was here that Ethan's human perspective became invaluable. During a discussion about trade routes and territorial rights, a debate erupted between two alien factions. Voices rose, accusations were made, and tension filled the chamber. Ethan noticed a pattern in their arguments, a shared fear of vulnerability and loss of influence. Drawing on his knowledge of human diplomacy and intuition, he spoke up. "Respectfully," he said, his voice steady, "I understand your concerns, but consider this: cooperation does not mean losing power. It means creating stability which benefits everyone. A shared solution ensures that no one is at risk alone." There was a pause. Several delegates turned to him, intrigued by the human's calm, logical, and empathetic approach. Liara's violet eyes met his, a faint smile on her lips. He had acted decisively, balancing respect and insight, and the chamber responded. The discussion shifted. The factions began to consider alternative solutions, guided by Ethan's reasoning. He felt the bond strengthen as he sensed Liara's approval and alignment. Together, their influence was greater than either could achieve alone. Later, as the summit continued, Ethan learned more about Liara's personal struggles. Her fearsome reputation had often kept her isolated. Many assumed she was cold, calculating, or ruthless, but Ethan had seen another side. He had witnessed her compassion, her sense of justice, and her capacity for trust. The gaze bond allowed him to understand not only her thoughts, but also her hopes and vulnerabilities. "You see me as I am," Liara said quietly during a break. "Most do not. They fear me, respect me, or obey me out of duty. But you understand that my actions are guided by more than strategy. They are guided by responsibility and care." Ethan nodded. "I see that, Princess. And I feel honored to be trusted to stand with you." Liara studied him for a long moment, then spoke softly. "The bond is rare and unbreakable. Our fates are linked, but it is not a burden, it is a partnership. One strengthens the other. And now it is time to acknowledge that publicly." The summit's final session approached. Liara rose, addressing the assembly with her usual clarity and authority. Then, to the surprise of many, she spoke of the bond between herself and a human, Ethan Cole. She explained the trials they had faced, the courage he had shown, and the ways in which their partnership had prevented crises and fostered cooperation. Gasps and whispers filled the chamber. Humans were few, and for one to be so recognized was unprecedented. Skeptics stared in disbelief, but others leaned forward with curiosity and admiration. Ethan's pulse quickened. He felt the weight of the moment, but also a profound sense of purpose. "You see," Liara continued, "strength does not only come from power or intelligence. It comes from understanding, courage, and the willingness to act for the greater good. Humans have these qualities in abundance, and this bond, this partnership demonstrates that together we can achieve more than any species alone." Ethan felt the bond pulse strongly. He could sense Liara's pride, her trust, and her unwavering confidence in him. For the first time, he fully understood what it meant to be bound to someone, through trust, courage, and shared purpose, not obligation or fear. After the summit, as delegates began to disperse, Liara turned to Ethan. "You have done well," she said softly. "You have shown wisdom, empathy, and courage. You have not only earned my trust, but the respect of others across the galaxy." Ethan smiled. "I couldn't have done it without you. The bond, it guided me, helped me understand what to do." Liara nodded, her expression thoughtful. "And that is why the bond exists, not to control, not to limit, but to connect, to allow two beings to achieve what neither could alone. You and I, we are stronger together. And now, Ethan, you are bound to me, not by fear, but by choice, trust, and respect." Ethan felt a deep warmth, a sense of belonging he had never known. He realized that the bond was not only a link between them, but also a symbol of what humans could achieve, bridging differences, inspiring cooperation, and making a difference in ways that mattered. The days that followed were filled with celebration and recognition. Humans and Valorians alike praised the bond as a model for interstellar cooperation. Ethan and Liara's partnership became a symbol of hope, showing that courage, empathy, and understanding could unite even the most unlikely allies. One evening, as the twin moons of Zarathis cast silver light over the city, Ethan and Liara stood together on a balcony overlooking the capital. The streets below were alive with citizens and delegates celebrating the success of the summit, but their attention was on each other. "You have changed my life," Ethan said quietly, "and I hope I've made a difference in yours." Liara's violet eyes softened. "You have, Ethan. You have reminded me of the value of trust, courage, and perspective. And you have shown others that humans are more than they seem. That is a gift worth more than anything else." Ethan smiled, feeling the bond pulse warmly. "Then we face the galaxy together?" he asked. Liara nodded. "Together, bound by choice, by trust, and by understanding. Whatever challenges come next, we will face them side by side." For the first time, Ethan felt the full weight and the full beauty of the bond. He was no longer just an explorer, a human far from home. He was a partner, a companion to the most feared, and now to him most inspiring alien in the galaxy. And as they gazed at the stars, side by side, Ethan realized something profound. Humans could not only survive among the stars, but they could shape their course. Their courage, creativity, and empathy could influence civilizations, inspire change, and create bonds that even the most powerful beings could not ignore. Liara placed a hand on his shoulder, a gesture of trust, respect, and connection. "The galaxy is vast," she said, And our journey is just beginning, but together, there is nothing we cannot face. Ethan looked at her, and for the first time, he truly believed it. He felt the bond thrumming through him, a constant reminder that he was never alone. They had faced danger, politics, and uncertainty, and they had emerged stronger, united, and ready for whatever lay ahead. The stars stretched endlessly above Zarathas, and Ethan knew that the universe held countless adventures, challenges, and opportunities. Yet for the first time he felt confident, prepared, and truly alive. Bound forever not by obligation, fear, or fate, but by trust, courage, and mutual respect, Ethan and Liara stepped forward into a future of limitless possibilities. Together, they would explore new worlds, confront challenges, and inspire hope across the galaxy. The bond between human and Valorian princess had proven itself, not only in trials and danger, but in understanding, empathy, and partnership. And now, it would guide them into a future brighter than either could have imagined alone. And so, as the twin moons of Zarathas cast their glow over the crystalline city, a human and a Valorian princess stood together, bound forever, ready to face the stars and the galaxy side by side.